welcome to VoiceHead. Welcome to VoiceHead. Welcome to VoiceHead, the show that takes a voice-centric view of the world and gets you the most cutting-edge information, knowledge, beliefs, techniques to master the vocal instrument, to understand the world around you from, again, a voice-centric perspective, how to tell if people are lying, how to sound like your favorite singers, how to do impressions of your favorite and least favorite celebrities, how to avoid mock ridicule, how to position yourself to enjoy your life as much as you possibly can. My name is Ian Temple Campbell. This is kind of like the predecessor or what the aftercessor. This is the aftercessor to the All Voice Media podcast, which was a little bit more pro-centric. This is a little bit more prosumer centric, just sort of, a little bit more edutainment, as you can see by my casual demeanor and my rock and roll electric guitar here. This is going to be a little bit more chilled out, a little bit more just for the average viewer who is, more than a little bit interested in the voice. We're going to talk about how to do karaoke, to be a karaoke god like me. Now, one of the first things that I've wanted to jump into for a long time was kind of out of a misunderstanding of somebody that I had in a Facebook group. I saw they were posting in the Facebook group, we want to, what do you call the style of sound that AC/DC does, right? And so I jumped in there. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, I'll give you a free lesson. Like, what do you want to do? And the guy was like, oh, well, why don't, he was kind of a dick. He was like, well, why don't you just tell me what the style is so I can research on my own? I'm like, I don't know what it's called, but I can help you do it. He's like, well, so you're like a master of this thing and you don't even know what it's called? And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point. If, whatever can be kind of like input into a computer and spit out a perfect result, like there's no point in human endeavor in that anymore. It's like, it's already done to death. So how cool is that this doesn't really have a name, doesn't really have a codified way to get from point A to point B, and we can figure that out together. Wouldn't that be fun? Maybe I was a little bit more ornery than that. But it was an interesting interaction because he was like, what is the key word that I put into Reddit to like find out more information about this? And I was like, well, there isn't one. Let's get to work. And so maybe, it's totally fair that he wanted to know what this style of singing technique is without wanting to devote his life to it. That's totally fair. But also it's like a kind of a great opportunity. It's like, what do you call this style of singing to create kind of an AC/DC sound? And so the term that came to me that makes the most sense is crunch voice. And crunch is kind of a term borrowed from guitar to signify that the signal is getting kind of overdriven and that it's, coming out a little bit crunchy. Here, I can demonstrate right over here if I put it on a crunch tone. Well, here, let me put it on a clean tone. Sounds like I got a little chorusing on there or something. A little spring reverb, a little baby chorus action. Here's a more clean sound. Right, now if I switch to a crunch tone, you're going to get this, right? Shoot to thrill, play to kill. Too many women with too many pills, yeah. Right, and so I like that term for the vocal technique too, right? Because if you were singing it kind of clean, you'd just be getting shoot to thrill, play to kill. Too many women with too many pills, yeah. Which doesn't sound like AC/DC. So what exactly are you doing with your voice to bring it to what we're now calling a crunch tone? Well, it's you could also call this an all of the above voice, because you're not just using the cricothyroid. You're adding a little bit of TA. You're adding a little bit of chest voice too, where you can. Especially on those lower notes, you want to kind of bring some chest presence to them, even though in the kind of the lighter stuff, you're just leaving your mechanism totally relaxed and pretty much pure falsetto, but kind of a reinforced falsetto. So what, one thing that you can do is you can start to add a little bit of false vocal cord distortion. False vocal cord distortion would be like, doing an impression of, Professor Rick from Rick and Morty. He's a good person to look to for that. So if you can hit a note, let's say you're gonna hit an A. And what I started to do at the end there is a little bit of froggy voice. And so you really want to avoid doing that. Like, Cookie Monster, he uses a lot of false vocal cords, but he also kind of rounds like this. In German, they call that knurdeling, right? So we don't want to do a knurdle, but if you want to just take a clean sound and then modify on and off of it to create kind of steps in that direction. And this is kind of a recipe building exercise that you're going to take with you to the rest of your life. Just like a politician is going to know how to give the same speech in different places, in different ways. Hopefully they're not too obvious and like copying accents when they're in the South, and keeping it a little bit more stately in the Northeast and a little more relaxed in California. Similarly in singing, you're gonna start to get a feel for your audience. I mean, like my buddy Alex, who's kind of the reason that I got into this style of singing and being so obsessed with it. He loves just like, and just the crazier, the more kind of demonic sounding, the more he enjoys that. In some bar gigs, especially, if there's fewer bodies there to absorb the sound, you're going to have to kind of soften it up a bit and do a little bit more of an R&B version, because you can read the reaction of the crowd. Like you can see if the critical mass of that crowd is like, give us more, or if the critical mass of that crowd is a little bit more reserved and, a little bit more, maybe you can kind of see their head going like this. Now a good mixer is going to know how to dip in that pain range from around 2,700 hertz all the way up to about 6K hertz. Somewhere you can put like a drop in EQ that's going to take some of the edge off of that voice, so you can get that effect where you're like screaming heavy vocals into a microphone, but it all sounds like a little bit stoned, if you know what I mean. Where you can really kind of turn up that gain, but it fills out the the sonic frequency, but doesn't have quite that bite that may create kind of a pain response. So again, this is all, it's art, baby. It's messy. It's weird. It's it's hard to get any hard and fast definitions about what to do and when. It's a little bit more, you kind of build up these heuristics as you continue to perform. So anyway, yeah, that's like a really cool exercise to try to get this AC/DC crunch singing tone. So you can just practice singing a note. And notice when that kind of, how far you can take it before it starts to change into something else. Either your voice kind of cracks, or it, the pitch changes. So these things you can kind of play with just on notes and work the notes up and down. You don't want to just get too strong in one note range. So we'll talk about how to develop a more robust singing technique, a more robust singing warm up. So anyway, this is my little introduction to crunch tone, the sound of AC/DC. So I'll make some more videos on that because it's, you know, it's a topic that I'm going to be interested for the rest of my life. So stick around. Anyway, VoiceHead podcast, VoiceHead show. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you on the next one.